Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today I have another Perlite Alcohol Burner that I want to share with you. And if by any chance you happen to have seen my Perlite Alcohol Burner or my gelled alcohol, which utilizes the same Altoid tin as just basically the vessel that holds the gelled fuel in, that I made for my Esbit rectangular cook set, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that haven't, this cook set I really like because it's rectangular, everything nests together, it fits very easily in most backpack pockets, and it's just really conducive to backpacking and wild camping and bushcrafting because of its shape. The other really significant thing about it is the fact that it is rectangular and has a very large surface area to make contact with the heat, with the fire. So that means that water boils really fast. And this stove is only designed to take Esbit fuel tabs, the great big ones, and you're supposed to use 2 of them. And if you're like me, you think that any of those hexamine based fuel tabs smell really bad and they create noxious fumes. So even if you're cooking in your vestibule of your tent, which a lot of people do, you're going to get some harmful vapors coming off of that. It's just nasty stuff. And I was thinking, is there any possible way that I can get a stove like a Trangia burner to fit in here? And the Trangia burner is just too tall. It won't fit. As a matter of fact, I've got one right in here. And it's literally, I mean, the stove won't even nest properly with that burner in there. And that burner has to have so much space between the jets and the bottom of your cook pan in order to do anything whatsoever. So I came up with an idea of using perlite on the inside of an Altoids tin, and I cut a piece of steel screen to keep it from falling out, and it's done a really great job. It boils water relatively quickly, and I don't get all those harmful noxious vapors that I get from the fuel tabs. Also, I can use an Altoid tin with my gelled alcohol fuel and put in here, and I can cook things on here without scorching them. I've fried eggs, I've fried bacon, I've cooked many meals with the gelled alcohol. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on an end screen so you can check those out if you want, and you can see how I go through the process of creating them. Well, it's wonderful to have multiple fuel sources and burner sources for your cook sets. And in this case, it was really essential that I come up with something, because I really didn't want to use solid fuel tabs. They stink, they create noxious vapors, they create a soot underneath the cook pot that you have to clean off, and you don't really want to cook with solid fuel tabs when you're taking the lid off, because those vapors will get in with your food and the chemicals and stuff. You just don't want to mess with that. So the gelled alcohol and the perlite alcohol burners work perfect for this, and I use it a lot. It's my preferred cook set right now. Well, I started thinking about it, and I have other cook sets that I could possibly come up with some way to use a perlite alcohol burner for them. And I thought of this cook set. And the reason I thought of this cook set is that the original burner that came with this cook set, this is an Esbit, I think it's the Backpackers cook set, or Trekkers camp set. But anyway, the burner that came with it is an exact duplicate in appearance to the Trangia or Trangia burner, which this happens to be. Well, it failed horribly. I have a video on this particular cook set to where I showed exactly how that burner failed, and had I not caught it, it very easily could have started a forest fire. And so let's say you purchase this and you have fear of your Esbit burner doing exactly the same thing. You could very easily spend 14, 15 bucks and buy a good quality Trangia burner. Or you could make your own and make it with perlite, a screen, and a little tin. And the beautiful thing about these burners is that you can go full on boil with these things by having those jets exposed, and it boils water fairly quickly. Or you can use the simmer ring to put on there and control the amount of heat that goes to the bottom of your cook pots. And I have fried bacon, sauce. I've cooked all kinds of things on this little pan using the simmer ring. Well, I know that my gelled alcohol works fantastic to really cook with, and it's an alcohol base, so no real difference than the Trangia burner. And but it's dirt cheap, really inexpensive to make these things. So I started thinking, is like, well, I can't fit a rectangular Altoids tin in there, so I picked up a couple little tins. And these tins have a little seal on the inside, so you can store your gelled alcohol in here or your perlite with alcohol in it, and use it in here. And it works exactly the same as a Trangia burner. Look at the sizes. They're virtually identical in their dimensions. And I will confess that my perlite burner does not bring water to a boil quite as fast as the Trangia burner. However, it's only off by less than a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up and show you how it works. Now, my little burner consists of a tin, and it has a little seal on the inside of the lid, and it has perlite. It is a volcanic natural material that a lot of people use in their gardening, and it helps aerate soil. It does really great things for your gardening and house plants and things like that. But it does a fantastic job of absorbing alcohol and wicking the vapor of the alcohol as a burner. And I just put a little screen in there to keep it from spilling out if it actually tips too far. And this is 3 tablespoons of perlite, and I've got it down now where I don't have to measure out the teaspoons. I can eyeball it, and that's going to absorb into the perlite. Perlite's extremely hygroscopic, and it really controls how moisture is delivered to your house plants. And I'm going to go ahead and light that. Now, it's burning the vapor. The evaporation of the alcohol is actually causing the vapor to come up. So it's actually burning the gases from the alcohol in not so dissimilar a way as the Trangia burner does. Now, the Trangia burner, it relies on burning the alcohol that's in here, and it heats up the entire metal container. And then there's an inner wall that's in here. There's a space between this inner wall and the outer wall where alcohol comes in. All of this metal heats up and it gasifies the alcohol, and the alcohol come out of these little jets, and it looks just like your gas stove at home. And that's how that works. But it's complicated. And Trangia has it down pat. Theirs is the best. There's all kinds of people that copy them, but none of them are as good. I'm going to put a little water in here, and we'll see it at work. Let's put about 12 ounces of water here. So that's a cup and a half, which is, you know, fairly common with a lot of freeze-dried meals now. I'll put it right there. Now, the gelled alcohol. I have a video on this too, on how to make it. Use calcium acetate and distilled water and denatured alcohol. Now, when you look at it, it looks like melty snow or slushy snow. And I usually will put these out in servings, or I guess rations of basically 3 spoonfuls. And 3 spoonfuls will get me through about a 15-minute burn. So I can cook for at least 15 minutes before I have to get a stick and stir it up, break it up a little bit, and it burns for about another 5 minutes. Now, because of that seal that's in there, I can keep the gelled alcohol in here without fear of it spilling. Now, we're going to go ahead and let this come to a boil, and I'm going to make a meal with it. But after I'm finished boiling the water, I'm going to be putting it away, and I'm going to show you exactly how this all will nest together with both of the containers, adding another option for you to be able to use with your various cook sets. As you can see, the flame is virtually invisible. If it was darker, you would be able to see a very distinct blue flame. It burns very hot for an alcohol burner. Well, it has come to a full boil, and took about 7 minutes. I really lost track of, so I'm estimating it was about 7 minutes, between 5 and 7 minutes. There's what I need for this meal. I'll let that go for a few more minutes. For a cup of coffee. And that, in a nutshell, is how it works. Pretty much exactly the same way as the Trangia burner, except you make it yourself. It's all homemade. Now, one of the things I've always liked about this cook set is that everything nests together, and you can carry a full alcohol burner inside the set, as long as you make certain that you purchase tins, these are aluminum, that have a seal in them. You can do exactly the same thing. Now, I'm one of those people that keep all the plastic stuff because I think it helps silent, or at least quiet, the parts quite a bit. And now, normally I would put this around my burner. However, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this down inside there. I'm going to put my tins inside here, where normally the Trangia or Trangia, I was corrected on that, Trangia but I'll call it Trangia because most people I know call it Trangia. Inside there, and I have a ready-to-go perlite stove and a ready-to-go gelled alcohol stove. Actually, they're burners. They aren't actually stoves. The stove is what I put the burners in. Now, any kind of alcohol is really, really sensitive to wind. So I would always recommend, if you plan on using any type of an alcohol burner, to use a windscreen. Now, if any of you have an oddball cook set, or you have a cook set which is very limited as to the burner types that you can use with it, you might want to consider getting creative, finding a container that will actually work with that particular cook set, and trying a little bit of perlite with a little alcohol to see how that would work for you. Now, for me, I absolutely love using my perlite burner with my Esbit rectangular cook set. 100% my preferred cooking method now, simply because I have my perlite. If I want to boil water, I have my gelled alcohol if I want to actually cook. Now, you might have an old cook set, you may have lost the burner, something like that, or just some real weird kind of thing you may have picked up from Temu or someplace like that. And you know, you're sort of limited as far as your cooking options with it. Who knows, you might be able to find a container, use perlite or gelled alcohol, and solve your problems. If nothing else, especially if it's a solid fuel stove, you might be able to find a way to give yourself another option that's not stinking, does not create noxious fumes, and allows you to enjoy your cooking experience. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.